Hello friends, welcome to my channel. I'll be showing you how to make this lovely overbust corset. Now we know overbust corset is trendy right now, so if you're interested, watch to the end, like and subscribe, leave a comment. All right, so the fabrics I use are Duchess. I use Duchess as the main fabric. I use it as lining also, and this is Estee. And then I also use fiber for the caging of the bust, and I use wording also for the bust. You're not using brack up, you're caging the bust. Okay, so you go ahead and draft your basic bodice block. So you have to draft the full scale. So what I'm doing, I measured my front shoulder slope 1.5 inch, and then I measured my neck width and then my neck depth for the front, and then you use your French curve to cover the neckline, and then after which you mark your bust line. Okay, so my bust line, I'll come up on my shoulder slope half inch. That's I'm using my back shoulder slope, which is 1 inch. I'll mark it and then place my tape back and then get a straight line. Okay, I need a straight line, right? That will be my bust line. So use your ruler, and then I drew out I square across, and then I measured that shoulder slope measurement, shoulder line on the bust line to get a straight line. Okay, and then I'll come in 1.5 inch and come up 1.5 inch, and then I come in a quarter of an inch, and then I mark my bust measurement, sorry, and then I use my French curve to cover out my armhole. Okay, so after that, the next thing is to mark your bust point. Bust point is shoulder to bust point. Use your ruler, you square across. So the next thing will be shoulder to under bust. You mark shoulder to under bust, and then you use your ruler and square across as well. And then the next thing will be shoulder to waistline. So remember to label appropriately. Okay, so after marking under bust, shoulder to under bust, the next will be shoulder to waistline. Okay, my shoulder to waistline is 17.5. So that's what I'm doing right now, and then I'll use my ruler as well and then do the same thing. Okay, and then label waistline. So the next thing will be my blouse length. So my blouse length is 5 inches from my waistline. Okay, so you don't need to measure, but you can go ahead and measure, but it's this the a better a standard one is 5 inches from your waist line. Okay, and then after measuring my blouse length, so from my waistline I'll come down 9 inches to get my hip line. Okay, so we need that hip line. It's not really necessary, but we just need it. Okay, you see why we need a hip line, and then you square across. So after doing that, the next thing is to mark my bust span. Bust span is nipple to nipple, so I'll mark my bust span, divide by 2. 7 divided by 2 will give me 3.5, and then I'll mark the 3.5 on my under bust on my bust point, and then I'll use a straight ruler I'll use my ruler to draw a straight line. So we want to contour our bust now, our under bust, so we need a straight line. So we are going to use it as our dart line. Okay, so now I'm using on my under bust line, I mark 1.5. Okay, on my side front, and then the center front side, the dart line, then I mark 3/4. Okay, and then I connect it from my bust point. Remember, the bust point we mark our bust point, which is 7 divided by 2. Then from there I'll mark my straight line. Okay, so on the hemline now, this is the blouse length line. I came in from the center front, I came in 3/4 inch. So I want to connect the bust now. So we are using a different pattern for this bustier. Okay, not the usual one that I've been doing. So this is a corset. Okay, this is a tube a tube overbust corset, right? Okay, so now I connected it from my underbust to the 3/4 inch or half inch as you desire on my blouse length, and then I measured the dart on my underbust. So after measuring the dart, I placed it from that line, and then I'll use my straight ruler to connect the lines. Okay, to draw the dart leg. So I've just the same dart on my underbust, that is what is on the bust line. You can see that I ended on the bust line. Now on my waistline, I came in quarter of, that's 1/4, 1/8. I came in quarter on my waistline in after the bust, and then I connected from under the bust to the blouse length. You can see the lines them. I used a pencil. That's the dark line you are seeing over them. So it's just to give it a, not to make it a straight line, just to give it a little slant shapy line. Okay, so that thing that it means we've taken out of our main bodies. Okay, so we are going to replace that a quarter inch, that's 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to replace it back on in front of the second that leg. See, please watch what I'm doing and then just practice and follow accordingly. It's not difficult. So what we took out is what we are replacing back on the waistline. Okay, and then on that leg also, I'll come out. Okay, I'll come out quarter of an inch. That's 1/4 of an inch also. So you can see that it's the dart leg, not the straight line. That's the dart leg on the blouse line. So you curve it. You can see the two. I curve it from my underbust to the blouse length line. So that is all. This is just a little bit of shaping just to give it, it's just normal contouring. Okay, so after doing that, I'm marking my waist measurement. So please watch this now. I measure from my center front to the first contoured leg, and then from there I mark the part on my tape rule, and then I'll continue from the second that leg. You can see the one we replaced back, so I'll continue from there. I want to mark my proper waist measurement now. Okay, so what I have marked my 7.5, that's 30 divided by 4. So that is what I did there. Okay, so after marking that, so we want to snatch by 1 inch. Remember, when you're snatching, taking out 1 inch means you're taking out 4 inch from your waist, which is enough. You don't need to snatch too much. Okay, so from there I'll connect from my bust line to my snatch line. That's 1 inch. Okay, I didn't use my original waistline. Remember, I came in. Okay, so now on my hip line, I'm going to place my hip measurement. Okay, and then the dart on the waistline, on the blouse length line, that dart there, we're going to take the dart length measurement and then place it on the hip line. Now the essence of doing this is because when we finally later want to extend the dart leg into the to extend to the hip line, it's not going to affect our measurement, right? So that's just the essence of replacing that dart. But now I'm not extending it because it may not be necessary, so especially when you're altering. Okay, but it's just for you to be safe, so when you extend it you don't have a shorter hip line. Okay, so that is it for that right now. Okay, so please, now what I'm doing right now is to curve. Okay, so I'm just curving it. So now please feel free to do what you want. So now my curve, I curved it here, but I didn't. So when you are doing a curve, please make sure it is more curvier than this, so it's going to be very obvious. So mine afterwards, it wasn't that obvious because I didn't really curve it very, very well. Okay, if you want it obvious, please do well to curve it, right? And if you want to do a basque, go ahead and do a basque. So on my shoulder slope line, and I'll divide my shoulder into two. So I want to extend a line from my bust point to my shoulder line. That's making a shoulder dart. Okay, so after doing that, now we want to contour no, it's a tube. Okay, so tube, you usually come up on your bust line. You don't use your normal bust line because there is no sleeve. Okay, so I came up 1/2 inch on my bust line. So that's my new bust line. It's no longer the other one. So it's normal when you're doing a tube, you come up 1/2 inch. Okay, so you decide where you want your armhole to end. Okay, so from my bust line, I've just decided where I want my armhole to end. If you want it very high, you come up on your armhole. Okay, and then you come and then draw your neckline. So feel free to do a design that you like. So I'm trying to do a sweetheart neckline, but not sweetheart, but I don't want a round neck, I don't want a U neck. Okay, so I was trying to do a sweetheart that looks like a V line. Okay, and then on my armhole line, you come in 1/2 inch, you come in 3/4 inch or 1/2 an inch. Okay, this is just to contour. You know there is no sleeve, so it will be firm on your chest, so it's not too wide. Okay, so I come up 1/2 inch on my bust line, and I came in on my armhole line 1/2 an inch also, and then I'm redrawing my neckline. Okay, please, this is very, very important. The essence of this is to make it firm. You don't need it too just flowing on your chest line. Okay, and then after which, now I'm going to contour my bust line, my bust measurements. Okay, so I'm still going to contour. It's just to make it firmer. Okay, so now on that line, now the reason why we draw a shoulder line is this. Okay, so I came in and I came in half quarter of an inch, one quarter of an inch, or half an inch, whatever. But I see that I came in half an inch, so the whole dart there is 1 inch, so half an inch on both sides, left and right, and then I connected it back to the bust point. Okay, so this is what you have now. I've successfully contoured my neckline. Remember, the point, the essence of this is to make it not to gape too much and not to gape at all, and just to have it firm on your chest. You don't need it floating and then looking like oversized, okay, overbust. All right, so now after doing this, because our neckline is not straight, the lines are not going to straight, so you're to measure the lines and then correct it. So you can use the longer one to correct the short one, or you use the short one to correct the long one. So feel free to choose whichever one. So I'm using the short one. I use the long one to correct the short one, and then I'll redraw my neckline. I'll connect that line back to the neck, to the center front. Okay, if I did that on the side one, I'll connect the side one to the armhole. So whichever one you're correcting, you just connect the lines back. All right, so after doing that, you are almost done. So don't forget to add your bust dart. Okay, the bust dart is the difference between your front and the back. So mine is 1.5 inch, my back is 1.5 inch longer than the front inch, length, half length. So that is the dart you have there. So guys, you can see that our front overbust corset is ready. Okay, so now for you can as well stop your corset, your overbust corset, on your blouse length. That is even the standard. But if you want to do an extension around the hip, the side hip, that is when you need this extension. But when you are cutting, please don't measure, just place your hip measurement, and if you are stopping on your blouse length, then just cut and stop on your blouse length. You don't need to measure your blouse length separately. Okay, like as your round blouse length, your hip measurement, once you connect the line from your waist to your hip, and then whatever you have is your blouse length measurement. That, I mean, the circumference. So you don't need to start measuring your blouse length, because you may not get it accurately. Once you impute your hip, and then you've gotten your blouse length measurement, okay, just stop on your blouse length. So what I'm doing, I'm drawing a straight line for my center, for my back bodies. Okay, so I've done the front, we are done with the front. Now is we are going ahead with the back. So the next thing, what I'm doing right now is to measure my bust line. Okay, so I use the front measurement to get the bust line. So the bust line for the back and the front are on the same line. Is the waist that is separate, okay, that is not on the same because of the difference. Okay, and then from there I measured shoulder to waistline. Okay, after shoulder to bust line, you square across. Shoulder to waistline, you square across as well. Right, so after that, then you now measure your blouse length. The same 5 inches you use for the front is what you use for the back. Please don't use a different measurement. The only difference you have is the when you are measuring shoulder to waist. Okay, and then you label appropriately. Now after that, from my waist, remember, this is your waist to hip, not blouse length to hip. Please don't make that mistake. Place your tape on your waist, and then that was what we did to the front as well. Okay, then you draw a straight line. So you label, that will be your hip measurement. You know, the essence of the hip is for connection and to help you get your blouse length circumference. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm imputing my shoulder measurement. So from my center back, I mark my shoulder measurement, and then I'll come down on my shoulder slope, and then I'll mark my neck width with the front and the back. You use the front neck width, and then the back neck depth is 1 inch. Okay, and then I mark my shoulder slope, right? And then my shoulder slope for the back is 1 inch. Remember, the front is 1 inch, okay? And then I'll place my shoulder measurement on my bust line, so I can get a straight line to enable me curve out my armhole like I did to the front. Okay, but first of all, you connect your shoulder slope to your neckline, right? And then you divide your shoulder from your shoulder slope to your bust line into two. You mark the part, and then you come in ½ inch. That is how you get your shoulders, your bust, your armhole. Okay, and then now you can now measure your bust measurement. So my bust here is 9, and then I'll connect from my shoulder slope to that part will come in, and then to my bust line. Here is armhole for the back. So the armhole is ready, and then the next thing is to impute the waist measurement. Okay, so remember, for the front we took out 1 inch for snatching. Okay, that, so you can do that for the front. But if you don't want to do that, you can now, if you want a dart in your back, you can now use that 1 inch you took out to make your dart. Okay, so you use the 1 inch you took out for the front to snatch. You can use it to create a dart if you want a dart. But if you don't want a dart, just go ahead and place your measurement. That's 7.5 for me. So but what I did here is I divided the 1 inch into two. Okay, so I'm using half inch for that, and then I snatch half inch. I took out half inch from the side. Okay, so my dart will now be half inch instead of 1 inch, right? And then on my hip measurement, I place my hip measurement. That's my hip line. I place my hip measurement, which is 10.5. And then from the waist, now this my waist. Remember, I snatched half inch for the back because I'll be using the other half inch to make a dart. Okay, I can as well do, but I just needed a dart just to show you that you can do without it. Okay, so I use my bust span measurement as well, 3.5, and then I'll connect mark the 3.5 on my bust line, and then I'll use my straight ruler to draw a straight line down from bust line to the blouse length. Okay, so now my dart now will be half inch. Remember, we took out half inch, we use half inch for the side. Okay, so in the now I'll now have 1/8 on both sides. At the end of the day, you have half inch. That's 1/4 on both sides to make on both sides of your dart leg. Okay, so you draw your dart from the bust line to your waistline, and then from the waistline to the blouse length. Okay, you can see that I stopped on the blouse length. Okay, the next thing is to come up on your bust line. Okay, for the front is half inch, and then the back also you come up half inch to make it equal, and then you measure your new armhole. Okay, so you measure the front armhole from the bust line, and then we'll do the same thing to the back. From the bust line, we'll measure our new armhole. Okay, you know the armhole is no longer long, it's now short. Okay, all right, so after doing that, so the next thing is to draw out. So I already made a mistake. Okay, I drew my waistline from the shoulder line instead of my bust line, instead of my bust measurement. So I've corrected it, so that was my shoulder line straight to the waist. So now it's now from the bust measurement to the waist, and after which I extended the line to my new to the half inch I came up, and then I will redraw my armhole. Okay, all right, so for the front, remember we came in half inch for contouring, like you're contouring it to make it firm, so you do the same thing to the back also. So you contour it half inch, you come in on our new bust line, armhole line, half inch for the back. Okay, and then you use your French curve to now you draw from your new armhole from the half inch you came up back to the half inch you came in. That's our new armhole for the back, right? So after that, you can now redraw your neckline. So you can do whatever neckline. You can do a V shape. So if you're not sure of what you're doing, you can use your pencil to mark a dotted line. Once you get what you want, then you can now use a pen to draw it line. Okay, for me, I'm doing a straight neckline. Okay, so what I'm doing after that, I just measured my that line, and then I extended it to my neckline. So I need a straight line. It will be slashing the back completely. So you connect it to your neckline. Okay. Right, okay, so the next thing is to shape the back. You know the back will be doing a lacing at the back. So on the blouse line, I came in 1.5 on the center back, and then for the neckline, I came in 2 inches, and then I used my straight ruler to draw a straight line. The line is slanted, actually is not straight. Remember, whatever you take out is twice, because this is just one side. It's going to affect the other side of the back. Okay, so after which you now cut out, so that means we are not cutting our full back anymore. Our back is now reduced. Okay, so now what I'm doing is to shape the hip line like this side back. Okay, so I measured what I have in front, and I use it to shape the back. Okay, and then I used my line pencil to draw. I just use a broken line to connect it to the hip line. Okay, that's from the new center back. Okay, so after doing that, you can now use your French curve to curve out to draw the curve correctly. So after doing that, that's it basically about the back. So you can now cut. So we are cutting from the green line. The green line is our new center back. Now remember, like I said, we are lacing it, and then for the front we'll cut out. So we have two back and two front. So you label correctly: center back 1, center back and side back 2. So center front 1 and side front 2. All right, So after labeling, the next thing is to cut out your pattern piece. Okay, remember we are adding seam allowance to every part of these pattern pieces. Okay, so what I'm doing now is to shape the bust line. So I close the bust dart, and then I redraw the armhole, the from the bust dart to the armhole, right? Because it's no longer straight. After closing the bust dart, you won't have a straight line, so I just redraw it. Okay, and that is it. Then you use your masking tape to tape down the to tape down the bust dart. All right, then you go ahead and cut. Okay, so after cutting, you add your seam allowance. Please add seam allowance to every part, both side and front. I did half-inch seam allowance. This side does not have 1 inch, so we are not adding, we are not reshaping anything anymore. Every part that needs joining, I used half an inch as seam allowance. Okay, so you go ahead and join together. So for the side back, I placed them together. I aligned, joined the waist together, and I to just to be sure that it's equal. So I discovered that when I did that with the paper, I discovered that one was longer. So what I did was just to correct it before cutting. So you can see that the center back side is a bit extended. So it was after joining I discovered that it's not as long, so I corrected it. So please do it to do that before cutting. I used my paper to correct it. Okay, well, I corrected it before cutting, so don't cut after, or else it won't be correct. So make sure you join correctly. Okay, you join waistline to waistline and the bust point to bust point, and then you sew. All right, so this is it after sewing. And then after sewing, what you do next is to iron. You iron neatly, iron your seam lines open. Okay, and I did the same thing to the back. I iron my seam line open. Right, so the next thing is to sew our boning. Okay, so we'll be using Regilene boning. Regilene boning is the sewable boning, right? So and then we'll also need a casing for the Regilene boning. So I cut out a strip. So the strip is 2 inches, my boning is half inch. So you measure your boning, and that will determine how wide your strip will be. And then I used a shambala cord to turn the strip. It's very easy to turn, otherwise you're going to slip here with while trying to turn your strip. Okay, so I use a shambala cord. If you have a long strip, please do well to cut one long strip, but because my fabric is very short, that's why I have a short strip. That short strip is going to waste a lot of fabric. Okay, especially when you're placing it on your fabric. Okay, so and then you place your shambala cord into the strip, and then you sew the top and then sew the side. So what I did was to measure. I measured exactly half inch. That's the size of my Regilene boning. Okay, I don't want it too wide and I don't want it too small. If it's too small, it's not going to pass through the boning is not going to pass through the cord, right, the channel. So what you be sure that it is exactly or a bit more, but make sure it's not too wide. Okay, so that it's not going to be too fat when you place it. You know, when it's too big, it's too fat, it's not going to look cute, it's going to look very funny. Okay, so go ahead and turn your strip using the cord. So you just pull the strip in, and the cord, the thing will turn automatically, and then you can now cut out the top. All right, so you don't even need to iron. So after doing that, so I did a lot of it. After doing it, what you need to do is just to pass your cord into your boning into the cord. Okay, and then you make sure when you are measuring the bone you're going to cut, you leave a space on the neckline of at least half inch or 1 inch, and on the bottom 1 inch or half inch, so that when you are turning, you're not going to sew on your boning. Okay, all right, so after which you can now pass your boning on your cord, your boning into the strip you cut, and make sure the part you sew is facing the bottom part. Okay, and then you go ahead and sew. Don't sew on the center line, sew on both sides. So you sew on both sides of the boning or of the cord. Okay, when you are placing it, and then go ahead and measure the bust. Okay, so I measure my bust line, and then I'll cut on both sides. So when you sew one on the center front, you sew another one on the bust line. That's the bust line that you sew, and then you now sew another one on the side in between the center and the bust line. Okay, so go ahead and use your ruler to measure the distance, so you have an equal distance. One is not longer than the other. Okay, so that is what I did here. I used my pencil to measure, and then at the end of the day I have about 9 channels on my on the front center front of the this of my front alone. Okay, and then I went ahead and then I caged my bust. Okay, so the caging is done on the lining. I have a tutorial, I'll pin it here. I already posted a tutorial on how to cage. I can't post it here because it will be too long. And then after caging, you now use your fabric to turn the neckline. It is very important you turn your neckline. After turning the neckline, you can now place the side of your boning. You can now place the side of your blouse together and then cut out. If you want the style that one side of the hip will be out and then the other side will be out, and then I place there and then I cut it out and I left one side. So you determine which side you want and then you sew. Okay, you cut and then turn the down part. After turning the down part, you turn your armhole. Okay, and then now you turn it. Everything will now end at, you use your side to turn it. So now for this, you are not sewing inside. Okay, you are not turning it inside. So you join the side together and then so I want to explain briefly on the side of this part. So now the way I finished it, now when I sew the up, I sew the down. Okay, I sew the up first and then I sew the down. After sewing the down, then I turn it from the side. Okay, after turning it from the side, and what I did was I sewed the back separately, the front separately. Please take note. And then I sewed it down separately. So before I sewed it up, what I did, you can see this side has an extension. This side I trim it out. So I decided which of the part I want it longer. So you can decide to have both on both sides, but I decided to just make it on one side. So I trimmed it out so you can see how it is. I trimmed this one, I left it, and then this other side I trimmed it out. Okay, so you can see. So once you trim it, then you can now join and sew. So after turning all separately, and what I did was to now sew it on the right side. So I sew on the right side. I joined the front and the back, sew it on the right side. So after sewing on the right side, I now trim out the allowance. So this is the armhole. You can see the armhole. I now trim out the allowance. After trimming out the allowance, I sew on the right side. After sewing on the right side, I trimmed the allowance out. After trimming the allowance out, I now place this boning on it so it covers the seam. You won't know that you can see the inside. So you can see the sewing of the boning. You can see the inside neatly finished. So there is no, I didn't do inseam finishing for this one. Please, it's very, very important. But make sure before you join, make sure you turn the up, turn the down, turn the up and the down, and then join together. That is just how I finish it. And then I know you know how to do a boning, okay, to fix an eyelet. So that is it. What you need also, you need a ribbon, okay. So that is just it about this. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. If you have any question, please leave it in the comment section. I'll try my best to answer you.